You're listening to 1015 KOCI LPFM Newport Beach, Costa Mesa. Welcome to Sunday Brunch, underwritten by Classic Yacht Excursions and on the web at classicyachtexcursions.com. And now, the hosts of Sunday Brunch, Tom Johnson and Lynn Selich.
That's what makes this community so great, because
see, my friend David Beek is going to join us in the next hour. David, you were at the Wooden Boat Festival yesterday?
I certainly was.
How was that event?
You know, it was absolutely incredible. But besides the fact it made you a little sick to your stomach because you're looking at these boats that are so unbelievably beautiful and the amount of time and work that goes into them.
Yeah.
I saw Lynn down there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure she would agree.
Well, I used to own a wood boat, so believe me.
I would think with somebody having the name of Beek and being in Newport Beach, the historical aspect of Newport Beach, seeing all the wooden boats and everything, has got to kind of take you back to a day of, your grandfather and some of the early parts of Newport Beach.
It did. You know, it's funny because it's how quickly you forget how beautiful those old wood boats are. And when I say old, our family boat was launched the year I was born, so I know exactly how old it is, and it's 51 years old, and I think of it as an old wood relic. And I know the amount of time and work and maintenance that goes into keeping that thing looking nice, and it doesn't look that nice. These boats are, some of them much, much older, and they look like they just rolled off the assembly line.
Yeah, it's amazing. It looks like they just...
Beautiful.
Yeah, just work on them nonstop.
They do. It must be just they start at one end, and they get to the other, and they start all over again.
One of the things Mike gave me the signal, we need to do a little shout out where you're listening to KOCI 101.5 FM, and this is a Sunday Brunch Show with Tom and Lynn. And
I had promised Mike that I was going to do that when we came back, and I totally forgot.
That's right.
David, I was talking at the top of the show. I came down here today, drove down to the island, took the ferry across, which is near and dear to you and your family because you guys manage the ferry.
Also old wood boats.
And but what a great way to start the morning. And I just think, your day must be a spectacular day every day because you have the fuel dock over there, you're around the water all the time and everything. Take me through a typical day of David Beek.
Well, I'll tell you, I wake up bright and early. I get to the fuel dock about 6 or 6:30, and more days than not, I have to remind myself how lucky and what a wonderful opportunity it is that's where you show up for work every day. I think most of the employees all around the harbor have that same sensation, hopefully more than not. But you watch the sunrise, you watch the sunset, you see the boats going back and forth, you see the tourists walking around the island and having the time of their lives and making memories that'll last with them a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
And just the people that walk the island all the time, all day long.
It's constant.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me the relationship. Okay, does the Beek family actually own the ferry, and who do they work up to or manage up to?
The ferry service started back in the early 1900s as a contract with the city, and it was before the Beek family took it over. My grandfather took it over in 1913.
Was John Scarpia?
That was one of the guys that helped start the Christmas boat parade.
Oh, okay.
You're getting your names all mixed up.
Okay.
You need to go to the self.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
But anyway, so a variety of ferry boats happened throughout the years, and the 3 boats that you see running now were built in the late 40s through the early 50s. Same boats, almost identical. They just were repowered with some John Deere diesels, but other than that, they're basically the same boat that you saw 67 years ago.
So what kind of maintenance is involved in that? I'm sorry, Lynn.
No, go ahead.
We have a full-time maintenance staff, 40 hours a week, that works on the shop, that all they do is keep those boats floating, painted, safe, of course. Coast Guard, they are Coast Guard inspected. And it's like any wood boat. These are basically wood barges, but we call them ferry boats. But they require a tremendous amount of maintenance to keep them safe and operational.
And so your contract then is with the city of Newport Beach for operation?
That's correct.
And how often does that contract come up for renewal?
You know what? I want to say we just did a 15-year. I can't. That number might vary by a few years. But so we own the boats, we own the facilities, we own the maintenance shop on the island side. The street ends are part of that deal with the city. So the city, of course, owns and maintains the streets, but that's through a contract with the Balboa.
Well, it has to be one of the most unique parts of Newport Beach is, I think for tourists coming to town, there's a couple of things to do, but one of them has to be to ride the ferry. I was telling Lynn, got in there this morning and saw this young couple get in there with a little boy in the car, and the smile on that little kid's face when he got to get out of the car on the ferry, and it's just one of those things that I remember when I moved to town. It was just one of those great things that no matter who comes to visit, you want to take them down and ride across that. So
well, it's very unique. It's people that come from Washington and from New York, and they see the big, gigantic 100-car ferries. It might not be that unique to them, but it is a very special little ferry, and the distance it travels and the cost, it's only $1. So one of the best deals in town for sure, and it's just a great sightseeing deal.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to say is that for our listeners who, if you haven't been to this area or you haven't been here in a while, the area that we're sitting in the Balboa Fun Zone, we're actually looking at the ferries going back and forth across the bay, and they carry about 3 or 4 cars apiece, and there's 3 of them, and it really is a great experience. If you've never done it, it's worth coming down here. Just if you come to the island, you can take it from Balboa Island over to the peninsula, or if you come down on the peninsula, you can take it from the peninsula over to Balboa Island, and you get a really neat, just a day trip even, and like you said, it's really affordable. And now, do you also make the barges available for events?
Rarely, as we like to say, they are ferry boats, so their principal job is to get people ferried back and forth across the harbor. We do occasionally for charities make them available as an auction item.
And Tom was saying that every year, 1.6 million people come across your ferries.
I think that was the number for last yeed. Yeah, it was enormous.
One of the first times I ever met Dave, we buy our fuel at your fuel dock for our vessels, and when Ed and I got married, we circumferenced Catalina Island for about 10 or 11 days. So we came over to fuel up on our way, and you came out with a bottle of champagne. And I think that was maybe one of the first times I met you, and I thought that was so sweet. And I still remember that. And we waited for a special night to have your champagne. So that was a great introduction. I'm
Knowing
sure
Lynn and Ed, it was the first night. But
no, they didn't leave the harbor. Nothing was empty.
No, it was really
so
neat.
David, you're joined this morning by an accompaniment. Who is this?
Riley, hi.
Riley, your last name?
Beek.
And you are David's
daughter, yes.
Very good. So you're the next generation. Now, is it exciting for you to be part of a family that has the Balboa Island Ferry?
It is. I get asked about it all the time. Again, it's a really bad habit for myself as well, as my dad mentioned, that I kind of take it for granted sometimes, and I do have to remind myself how fortunate I am to be a part of such a widely known family around the city.
Yeah, and your name's certainly recognizable.
It is.
Yeah, and everybody loves the Beeks. I mean, and I think that the Balboa Island Museum, I think the majority of it is devoted to the story, or a lot of it, the story of your family. And that's got to be kind of cool to walk in, see your grandpa, see your great-grandpa, and all the family that made this what it is today.
It is.
It's got to be. Now, did you grow up and go to school here locally?
Yes, I went to Newport Harbor High School.
Okay.
And there's a hall there dedicated to the Beeks.
Oh, yeah.
Beek Hall,
Sure.
So I got asked about that a lot.
It had to be great for writing a paper or whatever on the family history.
It was, and I did. I wrote a few.
Absolutely. That's great.
I think go ahead.
No, I was just saying, by Lynn fueling at the fuel dock, she's subsidizing Riley's Ole Miss education. I just wanted to thank you.
Oh, good. Ole Miss. All right.
I am at Ole Miss, yes. I'm going into my sophomore year.
And how was that your first year there? Big culture change?
It was amazing, and it was the biggest culture shock ever.
And how did you decide on Ole Miss?
It was a really last-minute decision, actually. My dad and I went to visit the campus over my winter break of 2013, right? Yeah. And I was a little iffy going into it, but right when we toured the campus, it was just an instant yes. It's so beautiful, and the Southern hospitality is so amazing. Everyone's just so nice and welcoming, and I just had that gut feeling that this is where I was meant to be, and I love it so far.
People may hear a kind of a humming, buzzing noise in the background. That's Bert, the bull shark. And imagine John Travolta riding the bull in the middle of the bar, only this one's a bull shark.
It's a shark. It's a big blue
sitting
shark.
behind us, little kid having some fun hanging on.
Scary looking.
Now,
It's hysterical.
what did you have family or something that went to Ole Miss before you headed down that direction, or how did you pick? I mean, other than throwing darts, how do you pick Ole Miss?
It's actually a really funny story. One of my best friends, who I've grown up with and went to high school with and everything, she ended up going to the University of Georgia, and she convinced me that I should apply to Ole Miss. I should apply to the South. I was originally I had my heart set on staying in California. So I applied, I got in, and my dad and I decided to just go check it out just to see how it was. I had never been to the South before, so I didn't really know what to expect at first, but we went, and I fell in love instantly.
Now, do people, when you move into a dorm or something down there, do people know where Newport Beach is? Have they heard about it? Or?
They do. It's actually kind of 50-50. I say I'm from Newport Beach, and if they have a confused look on their face, I say, oh, I'm from Orange County, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, wow, yeah, LA, yeah.
So you come home from the summer, do you get a job on the ferry or something, or pumping gas, or what do you do?
I work on the peninsula. I work at a little swim boutique, yes.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So she has worked on the ferry.
Yes, I have. I worked in the ferry office before for ever since my freshman year of high
It's
school.
gotta be a fun job.
First summer. Yeah, it is fun. It is fun.
All your friends come to you and say, hey, can your dad get me a job on the ferry?
Yes.
Does that work it that way?
Hundreds of people. I get texts all day long. Hey, can you hook it up with a job on the ferry? I'm like, no, I can't.
And wait till your friends from back in the South come out here to California if they've never been.
I know.
Has anybody come out yet?
No, I have a couple planning on visiting me mid-July, so I'm really excited for that.
One of the great stories down here on the peninsula, and I'm not sure if it happened again this year, but last year I actually met a group of girls that worked at Ruby's out here on the pier, and they all came over from England, and they all roomed together. They were all hired and everything like that, and all had this accent, but one of them had, I guess there's a little bit of history where they apply to the Ruby's out at the end of the peninsula, and Ruby's hires a bunch of them, and they were all there last year, and we did an event off-site. I think it was maybe the 4th of July or whatever at Newport Dunes, but it was fun talking to all these gals and everything like that, and that was their summer vacay, as they would come over here, work at Ruby's, and then party and have fun the rest of the time in Newport Beach before they headed back.
So everyone at Ruby's had an English accent?
Everybody had an English accent. You thought it was an English pub if you just walked in.
So Dave, one of the reasons why we had you on was to talk about the Christmas boat parade, and
When is that?
That's going to be right around Halloween this year.
Yeah,
Our dates are December, of course, 17th through the 21st.
Okay.
That's a Thursday through a Sunday. It runs 5 consecutive nights.
Right.
It's our 106th year.
Which is amazing. And I think
Just
one of the
amazing.
very first ones, if I read, was it your grandfather had like a little skiff or something that
John
they put
Scarpia.
out there?
John Scarpia.
Uh-huh.
Yep, it was a.
I knew that name was in there somewhere.
Yes.
So yeah, he dressed up his boat a little.
He dressed up his boat.
His gondola?
He was an Italian gondolier from Venice, Los Angeles, Venice, and he moved to Newport with his gondola, and he had a little commercial operation going on, basically like the gondolas that you see today.
Sure.
Here. And during Christmas, he would put Japanese lanterns over his Italian gondola and sing Christmas songs. I don't know if they were in Italian or not,
Interesting.
but it's fun to think that they were.
Very eclectic.
And boats would follow him around the bay, and the ferry kind of caught onto that tradition, and the ferry would bring City of Newport Beach employees onto the ferry boats with a Christmas tree, and the city employees would sing Christmas carols around the harbor, and lighted boats would get in line behind him.
Oh, how fun.
And so that became the unofficial start of the Christmas boat parade.
And so this year's theme is?
Deck the halls with the boughs of jolly.
I love that.
Very good.
A little play on words.
Very cute.
Little Christmas.
How did you come up with that?
We had a contest in the Daily Pilot, and I think we had over 100 entries.
Oh, that must have been hard to pick.
And we had a very secret meeting in a cave in the Rocky Mountains.
That you'd have to kill somebody if
We'd
they
have to
knew the
go
location.
Very high
I thought you were going to say it was Le Cave restaurant over Costa Mesa.
Well, that would have been more fun.
Yeah.
There's, I'm very excited about the future of the Christmas boat parade, because there's been a lot going on over the last several years. First of all, it's always been managed by the Commodores Club, which you and David, you and I are both a member of. We're with David Beek of the Beek family fame here in Newport Beach, talking about the Christmas boat parade. But the chamber went on some tough times, and yet the Christmas boat parade actually flourished during that time, and under the great leadership of you and other Commodores. And now, as we look forward, we see this great partnership between the city, the Newport Beach and Company Visit Newport Beach, and the chamber, and they're looking at doing some great things. How much of that will happen this year, I don't know, but do you want to talk about maybe some of the plans that they're looking at kind of long term with the boat parade to make it even a bigger and more spectacular event?
Absolutely. First of all, let me begin by saying we call this parade spectacular. We call it the world's largest. We call it the oldest lighted Christmas boat parade in the world. But none of that happens unless we have boats sign up to participate in the Christmas boat parade. So
and houses.
And homes, exactly. At this time of year, our initial what we're working for the hardest is to get people with boats, whether they are in Newport, whether they're in Huntington Harbor, Dana Point, wherever, to come down and really consider decorating your boat and participating in the Newport Beach Christmas Boat Parade, because it's a wonderful experience.
No, that brings up a good point. If somebody wants to bring a visiting boat, there's moorings that they can rent through the city, correct?
Well, exactly.
And so they could come down for the 5 days, decorate it, even if you're no matter where you're from, really.
That's correct.
And I like that idea. I mean, that's a great idea, because not every city, I know a lot of them have maybe one night,
right?
But not the 5 nights, and it's a great corporate.
Well, one of the things we're going to do this year, David, and I'm sure we're going to lean on you for your help, is we're going to get Lynn out there involved with Newport Beach TV. We're going to do some of the backstories on the boats that are involved. So actually, when we broadcast the parade this year, not only to be able to show the lights and the boats going by and everything, but to really give some of the backstories of the incredible boats. What goes into the decoration of them, and the time and the commitment. So it should make for some good local TV.
And there's some great stories. I mean, some of the characters that we have in the boat parade, especially some of the guys who've done it for many, many years, those would make great interviews.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a couple down the street from us that I see, and they come back in at night, and then they go back out the next night, and it's just, they're so into it. It's just, I love it.
Well, it's great to see the commitment on 2 fronts. First of all, the Ring of Lights commitment, to see what the people around the harbor have done, and hopefully we're getting past some of that negative publicity from a couple of years ago, where the Christmas boat parade and the Ring of Lights sort of got caught up in a little political issue that was attached to the dock tax, supposedly called the dock tax. But I think we're beyond that now, and the lights are bigger and more beautiful, and you can now see them kind of cascading up the hill. Someday we're going to have
Irvine Terrace is starting to
the
get
best
into
award
it. It's
in
really
Irvine, lit house in Irvine Terrace. But so that has really caught on, and then the commitment to the boat. One of the things that I do find somewhat disturbing about the boat parade is there are so many boats that come out to view, and they want to participate in the parade, so they'll cut in, and they're not registered and everything like that. And I ask people, and I'm sure David feels the same way. If you're going to get involved in the boat parade, make a commitment. Sign up, get your number. It's not that expensive.
It's $25.
It's $25 to register.
That's crazy.
And throw your lights on there and participate.
Well, at that $25, it serves a purpose. It insures your vessel while you are in the parade. So from the time the parade starts to the time parade ends, if anything happens, our insurance policy covers. So there isn't a cost related to that, and so we need to pass that on. But other than that, this year, Tom and Lynn, we're doing a few little freebies to incentivize people to sign up. We're going to give a burgee a Christmas boat parade birdie to every boat that signs up.
I want one.
It's going to say the theme, the year, and it's a really and the logo, the Christmas boat parade
So
logo.
you could collect them over the years.
You can collect them over
as
the
you
years.
start
Now, of
to
course, we
get
stole
involved.
this idea from Yacht Club opening days, which every year you enter your boat into a yacht club to participate. You get a little plaque, which we're also going to do. You're going to get a nice little cool brass plaque with the logo, the theme, and the year.
So you
it can be a
can mount it.
collectible. So to help you, maybe a little extra push to get you to sign up the following year.
Great.
So we're doing those this year.
Still going to have the awards dinner afterwards?
Absolutely. Marie Case and David Robinson are going to be the co-chairs of the Christmas Boat Parade's award dinner and auction at the Island Hotel. I don't have a date, but it's a little earlier this year, but it's in January.
Now, there's also been talk, I know through Newport Beach and Company, I think some of their talks with the chamber, possibly getting even or somebody for the head of the parade. Have you
Oh, you
heard?
mean like a marshal, like they
Grand
had in the
Marshal.
Yeah,
Grand Marshal?
So those are some of the great ideas that Visit Newport will come up with through their marketing arm. They're the geniuses at doing that and expanding the marketing of the parade.
And you and I were both a part of that, including Lynn was also there last year, but we
commentated, remember?
We were at the media area.
That's right.
Over off the, where were we?
It was
We
at
were
the
down at Mariners
Seabase.
Mile.
Seabase. It was a great event, too, by the way. It was well done.
They had people from around the world, China, they had Japan, South Korea, I think they were there around the country.
Media people from all over.
Gets a lot of publicity.
Yeah, but the coverage on NBTV, that was truly the finest.
Yeah, right. So David, I know you're around the water all the time. What's a typical Beek outing on the waterfront? Are you fishermen? Are you sailors? All the above? How do you spend your weekends?
I think it's a little mix of everything and all the above. Some beaks more than others. My daughter and I sailed dinghies.
Okay.
And
That's fun.
I did do a transpac in 2007, but
First of all, on the dinghies, is that like lasers and
it's
things
like
like that?
lasers, exactly,
Okay.
FJs.
Do you get out there and do the races?
I grew up sailing since I was around 8 years old, so I'm well versed. And I used to do all the races and.
That was a BIYC,
All that fun
right?
stuff.
Were you a member of BIYC?
Yes.
So that's, for those of you listening, that's our Balboa Island Yacht Club. And actually, your family weren't they instrumental in actually starting BYC?
It was
BIYC?
The kids of Balboa Island were running amok. And so my grandfather had an idea very
I'm sure
early.
you were one of them.
This was way before.
Yeah,
You might have
before
been
his
alive,
time.
Tom, but this was way before my time. And he started the Balboa Island Yacht Club off his dock on South Bayfront.
And it's still there.
Still has been
Still
going
to this
every year
day.
since, even through the war and everything. It's never missed a year.
So
Wow.
then you said you were part of the Transpac one year. Talk to me about that race.
Well, actually,
and what
the
kind
boat-
of commitment that is.
The boat's Traveler, which is right out here in front of us, it's owned by a guy named Mike Lawler, who's a buddy of mine.
Sure, I know Mike.
And he approached me one year, about a month before the Newport Ensenada race, and said, "Hey, do you want to do Transpac?" And that was a bucket list item that I always had wished that someone would, it's something you need to be invited on.
Kind of dangerous going out with Lawler, though, because
was very
one day
dangerous.
he went out and didn't come back for like 3 years.
That's right.
What?
That's right.
Really?
He went out. He has a law practice in town. Went out, sold his law practice, got remarried, and he and his new bride set sail, and I think they were gone for 3 years.
But they planned
They
it.
were.
Kind of, sort of.
Well, it's Mike Lawler, so kind of.
Oh.
But
That's
so the
awesome.
first leg of
Good for them.
that around the world trip was the Transpac.
Okay.
So
Wow.
that was the first 2,500 miles of it.
And how difficult is that when you're out in the middle of the ocean, middle of the
Nowhere.
night, things get rough?
Well, 2007, I believe, is still the slowest Transpac on record. It was a very slow race. It took us 19 days from Los Angeles
Oh
to
my gosh.
the Diamond Headlight.
Wow.
And so you want to get along with the people you're on the boat with.
You think?
Because I think in the middle of LA to Transpac race, you're the farthest place from land anywhere on Earth. They say the closest land is 7 miles, and that's straight underneath the keel.
Wow.
So it's getting camaraderie and getting along with your crewmates is essential.
Do you see other vessels out there when you're out in the middle of the ocean?
You didn't see another boat the entire time.
Wow.
You round
That would be
Catalina's the only
interesting.
mark, so you round Catalina and then you're off into the Pacific, and
That's
we
a
never
life
saw another
changer.
boat.
Is it something you do again?
Not, yeah, I would do it again. I don't know if I would do it again soon, but sometime again in the next 10 or 20 or 30 years.
Bucket list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Add it to
You
the
mentioned
bucket list.
bucket list. What are one or two other things in the David Beek bucket list?
Believe it or not, we always wanted to go to New Orleans. And we did that. Visiting Riley back at
Sure.
Ole Miss, we had an opportunity to go down south New Orleans, which is a
Riley,
great
for
city.
those listening, is David's daughter going to Ole Miss.
Yes.
Ole Miss, and that was where the movie was shot on the
Yes.
football player.
Why am I blanking the name? Right
Blindside.
Blindside.
Yeah.
yes, The Blind Side.
Yeah.
She won an
Very
Oscar
cool.
for The Blind Side.
Yeah, it was a great film, and you're down there. What does the waterfront in New Orleans look like compared to what we have here in Newport Beach?
It's different. The French Quarter's very different. I don't know, Dad, how would you
Well, it's a river.
describe it? Yeah.
For one thing,
Okay.
so the water's fresh. It's you can see to the other side very easily, being the Mississippi River.
But it's a lot of gates and things like that.
a lot
to
of
traffic.
locks and
locks.
Yeah.
Okay.
and with the levees system, of course, that surrounds New Orleans, and it's a really fun. If you like food, you like history, and you like to tip a glass occasionally, that's the city you want to go to. 'Cause
Now,
it has-
Riley, where exactly is Ole Miss located? How close to New Orleans?
It's about a 5-hour drive.
Now, is that a drive that college kids make on occasion to go down
All
and
the
have
time.
fun? Okay.
All the time. New Orleans is the place to go for a fun weekend, definitely.
Okay, because I remember when I went to San Diego State, it was always Tijuana, or if you,
I was gonna
if you were at
Mexico.
the University of Arizona, it's whatever it is, Nogales or whatever that's down there, or not
Right.
Nogales, but there's something down there that.
something.
But every place has their party town. But I would think the French Quarters would be a fun place to be.
It definitely is. And I went to my first Mardi Gras this year, and that was so much fun and crazy. Do I want to go again next year? No. But
Yeah,
it
once
was a
in
great
life, right?
experience, yeah.
So, David, talk to us for a second about some of the other fun things that are happening down and around on the waterfront. We have the Flight of the Lasers coming up next month. I think your dad, Seymour, is heavily involved in that.
That's right. Then this year we've got NOSA involved. NOSA is the Newport Oceanic Sailing Association, and they run the Newport and Mexico race,
Right.
and they run some other big regattas around town. And this is going to be their first year being involved with the Flight of the Laser, so we're excited about
And is that an open event to people that want to participate? And
It's
how-
open to everybody.
And how would somebody get involved in that if they wanted?
Go to the chamber website.
Okay.
is a good link to it. Google Newport Beach Flight of the Lasers. There'll be some links to it. Or contact any of the yacht clubs in town: Balboa Yacht Club, Newport Harbor Yacht Club, Bahia Corinthian Yacht Club, and they can all get all those organizations give you information.
And going back to the Christmas boat parade, if people want to enter their boat or bring their boat in from another harbor or decorate their house, can they, same website?
It's the chamber website. We have a special website now. This one's very difficult to remember.
Okay.
ChristmasBoatParade.com.
ChristmasBoatParade.com. And you can, if
And
you
you-
want, can you register online?
Actually, if you go onto that website as we speak, it's under construction.
Oh, okay.
Because Jeff Parker and the wizards that do the website stuff are putting all the new information on it.
The website wizards.
But I think it will be, there's still a lot of information on it right now, but it's not the interactive, fun website that it is when it's fully operational, and that's going to begin beginning of next week.
Great, and there's some great pictures up there too.
We want to thank David and Riley Beek. We encourage you that if you're living in Newport Beach and you can see the water from your home, we want you to get involved two ways. We want you to decorate your home, and if you have a nice vessel, we want you, even if it's not a nice vessel, there's little
It could be
electric
tiny,
boats,
yeah.
paddle boats, and everything that are in the Christmas boat parade, but we want you to do your part and enter the parade, support the parade. It's a great event, getting bigger and better every year. David, thank you very much for joining us. Riley, continued good luck at
Thank you.
Ole Miss.
Thank you
And,
very much for having us. And I'll tell you where we're going right now.
Yeah.
We're going to go wash our dogs at the do-it-yourself pet wash.
Oh, I love
That's
it. I
very
love
good.
it.
Coolest thing ever.
Bark bath dog, self-serve
bath.
dog wash. Yeah, it's
Fantastic.
right up the street.
That's